Welcome to this week in the world of wrestling.
Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John, that's my cohort and commentary Ashton, and this is our Friday night Smackdown review. And I gotta tell you guys, for me, this is a very enjoyable episode of Smackdown. We got a Money in the Bank qualifying match. We got progression on several storylines. We got a chance to believe this Smackdown and everything, and then some. I was a fan of it. What about you, Ashton?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I would honestly say this is about as close to a flawless SmackDown that we've gotten since probably before WrestleMania. This is just a really, really good show.
I agree wholeheartedly. So with that said, let us get right into our first segment, Heat of the Night. And I gotta tell you, I don't even have any nitpicks tonight, so I'm totally good on all fronts. What about you?
You know, I don't have any genuine heats of the night, but I do have a nitpick.
I think I know what it is, but go ahead and tell everybody.
I am getting sick and tired of RVD, Bad News Barrett, Sheamus, and Cesaro only ever fighting each other. And the reason this is only a nitpick and not a genuine heat of the night is because Barrett had a match with Reigns tonight, and that was freaking awesome. But then they ruined it by putting Sheamus against Cesaro. They need to find other things for these four guys to do than facing and fighting each other.
Well, that's why I really like that Cesaro did qualify for this ladder match, but then again, so did Sheamus. I can see where you're coming from, about these guys. The sad thing is, I am a fan to a degree of like all four guys, because I enjoy their in-ring work at least for all four of them, and then the other facets, well, that's when it really becomes debatable. But yeah, they really should be doing other things besides fighting each other. Like, I thought it would have been interesting if you had Cesaro go one-on-one with Alberto Del Rio tonight, because he's also in the Money in the Bank ladder match, and he wasn't seen at all on tonight's show. Just something different. So I can definitely see where you're coming from.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that, man. Even Cesaro Del Rio, yeah, that would have been more interesting than what we got.
Right, yeah.
I'm just at the point that I'm sick. It seems like those four guys are just constantly feuding with each other. Like even dating back to what was Extreme Rules, we had a triple threat between Cesaro, RVD. Oh no, that was Swagger, but still, like. And then didn't we just have a triple threat between Cesaro, RVD, and Bad News Barrett recently? Like,
yeah,
they need to, go their separate ways. But yeah, like I said, it's just a nitpick because it's just a personal thing that I'm just getting kind of sick of. But I can't say it's a heat of the night because it's not like they have bad matches with each other. It's just getting really repetitive and boring, in my opinion.
Right, yeah, and see that's because we were talking about it earlier, and I was surprised. Because you said, about Cesaro, and I'm like, oh, well, what is it about Cesaro? And you're like, well, he's always working with Sheamus. I want him to do something else. And it's hard to fault the guys for that. I just hope that the creative processes behind these guys think, you know what, they're so talented. Let's give them something new to do. I mean, that's why my mouth waters when I hear people in conversation, fantasy booking, throw out Cesaro versus Lesnar, because that's as different as you can get. So I hope we get there one day, because I'm right there with you. I think Cesaro and Bad News Barrett, for that matter, two really talented guys. I want to see them do more than what they're doing right now, for sure.
Absolutely. All right, dude. You ready to start things off?
Oh, yeah, you know it, man. So with that said, let us get right into the Friday Night Smackdown review, and we open up the best way any show can open up, Sierra Hotel India Echo Lima Delta, The Shield.
And I will say, prior to The Shield coming out, we got a brief video package kind of going over everything that's happened with Daniel Bryan and the Authority, and it really focused on the Authority just kind of getting their way at the end. So yeah, we do open things up technically on the actual show with The Shield. They come out, and dude, Ambrose's promo, both of them. I can't even single out Ambrose. As much as I love Ambrose, and he is, in my opinion, vastly superior to Reigns in just about every asset except for freaking appealing to the female demographic, which is even close, I think, because, I mean, if you've ever seen Tumblr, you know what I'm talking about. But Reigns held his own here tonight. He cut one heck of a promo, and I'm just proud of both of these guys.
Absolutely, reiterating the statements they made. on Monday, Dean Ambrose, he wants Seth Rollins. He wants to hurt Seth Rollins. He said, hey, Seth Rollins, my brother. Well, I guess I can't really call him my brother, my business partner. I'm going to end the business of Seth Rollins. And, yeah, just really intense. Roman Reigns still very focused on Randy Orton right now. Says, I hope you're enjoying your time off. You call yourself the face of the company, but like I said, I'm going to make you the ass of the company. He calls Orton pretty much a spoiled child that's been handed everything by his daddy, Triple H. So, yeah, the Shield, they're itching for a fight, brother.
Yep, absolutely. And Triple H answers their request. He gets on the Titantron and he says, well, you guys are really itching for a fight, and I know you both want to be in that WWE World Title ladder match, but unfortunately, there are only so many spots, and I only have one available qualification left, and there are two of you. And then he flips a coin and he stops it on his hand, and he says, Dean Ambrose, you're the lucky winner. You're going to have a qualifying match for that Money in the Bank, or for the WWE World Title ladder match tonight, and have fun with that, because your opponent is Bray Wyatt. And yeah, instant heat, because everyone loves Ambrose and they know how powerful Wyatt is and how good he is in the ring. And then Triple H is just like, oh, and by the way, Reigns, you're going to be banned from ringside during that match, and I'm also going to ban the rest of the Wyatt family from ringside during that match. And speaking of being banned from ringside, Ambrose, you're going to be banned from ringside for this next match, because Roman Reigns, you're facing Bad News Barrett. It was like, yeah, and he even did like the Bad News Barrett impression. It was hilarious.
I think this was very smart booking here because, Triple H didn't put Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns in a position where there could be dissension amongst the two of them. They need to be a fortified front right now at this point in the story. Plus, I think there is big money, in my opinion, between a Dean Ambrose-Roman Reigns matchup in the future. But that's when Dean Ambrose is really established as a heel and Roman Reigns is really established as the torch-bearing babyface. To me, I think those two could have an amazing program together. So I'm glad they didn't splurge it like, brother against brother, so to speak, for this spot. So I thought they handled it very, very intelligently. And yeah, Roman Reigns versus Bad News Barrett. That was an intriguing matchup, and we go right into it. And I gotta say, Ashton, I enjoyed the chemistry demonstrated by these two guys.
Yeah, dude, they had a really fun match together.
Yeah, definitely. Barrett, I just think, just oozes this new confidence, and I've been saying that for months now. I mean, that's certainly nothing new. But, I mean, his matches just seem far more enjoyable now. It seems like there's a new air to them, and I've just really been getting behind Barrett all over again, which is great to see, because you know what a big fan I've been of his, and I really began to lose hope after a while, but this just makes me think he could go all the way to the top, and Roman Reigns, well, enough said, so you put the two together, and you come out looking pretty damn good. That said, Roman Reigns was looking dominant towards the end. Got his Superman punch in there. Looked like he was closing in on a non-title victory over Bad News Barrett, maybe even get himself a title shot. But we see some familiar faces come down to the ring.
Some familiar faces that we will never see on WWE television again.
Yep, 3MB, Drew McIntyre, Jinder Mahal, and Heath Slater. They try and pull a Shield and, surround the ring and try and attack Roman Reigns. But it seems like it's going well at first, but you don't mess with the Mastodon.
Right, yeah, so Reigns actually fights back. This was one of those, okay, this is kind of bordering on really, really awesome and just flat out OP moments, but I think he pulled it off, because it was actually really cool.
I think if I had one nitpick, because he destroys 3MB, right? I mean, he tosses Jinder Mahal over the announce table, which is great. Spears Drew McIntyre, and then my favorite moment, Heath Slater tries like a moron by diving off the steel steps, and he gets intercepted with a spear. All great, because I love when Roman Reigns dominates. Like, I get into it. I mean, you want proof of that? Go back, all the way back, and listen to me and Ashton's Royal Rumble 2014 live reactions. That says it all. But what I would have done here, because Barrett's just been so fantastic lately, I would have had Roman Reigns turn around and eat a bullhammer. I just think that would have been really awesome for Wade Barrett amidst all this destruction, or Bad News Barrett, amidst all this destruction, to really stand tall. But other than, I mean, that's a minute criticism for what really was an awesome segment and overall awesome match.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. It was fun stuff. It was both the guys got a lot of their signature offense in, and then Reigns got to prove why he is the future flag bearer of this company in the post match.
Yeah, absolutely. Beautifully said.
All right. I'm not completely sure of the order because the website I'm looking at has things all screwed up. So I'm just going to assume that up next was Eric Rowan versus Jey Uso.
Yeah, not really much to say about this match. This was a squash, and not from the guy that you'd probably be expecting as of late. Eric Rowan pretty much dominates Jey Uso here, and he gets the win with that new finisher that you and I have been very high on, that, I guess, Iranagi rock bottom looking slam, which coming from a big man like that just looks awesome.
It also
Yeah.
has like a little bit of like a side effect look to it.
Yeah, it does. Thank you for picking that up, because, yeah, you're absolutely right. And, yeah, the Wyatt family gets another point on the board. I really, really, really hope that we get a tag team championship match between the Usos and the Wyatt family at Money in the Bank, and I will say it right now. I want the Wyatt family to win those WWE tag team titles.
100% agree.
Yeah.
Dude, I will be so disappointed if the Wyatt family doesn't win the titles. You're not even, like, you don't even know what's coming.
Yeah, dude, I will say this, and it's not just because I find that the Usos have gotten way too strong in their booking, because we've said OP so many times, but the booking of them has just been so over the top. Like, an invincibility is pretty much what the Usos look like virtually every night. But it's also because the Wyatt family, I think, are genuinely one of my favorite tag teams on the roster right now. And I want to see them get their due. Like, I love the whole faction, you know, with Bray at the helm, but even just the two of them themselves, I mean, they're like these larger-than-life looking guys, and I love their look, and I love their offense, and I think they deserve the straps because they've been far more relevant in terms of the major storylines and everything than the Usos. So, yeah.
Definitely looking forward to that being a thing. And it was one of those things where when we were watching this, I kind of came out and said, well, I guess we have a feud now, because for the longest time, like, there would be one random match involving the Wyatts and the Usos, and we'd be like, oh my god, I want the Wyatts to win the tag titles, but then nothing would ever come of it. Well, now something has become of it this time. So I think it really will lead to that tag title match, and I just hope that we get what we want.
No, dude, absolutely. I hope once that match is made that you, me, everybody else who's a fan of the Wyatt family, we go all the way with this thing. We get those tag titles, and then you know what? These guys, because I could believe it, they should be the ones to go on the monster run. Seriously.
So you could believe it.
I could absolutely 110 million% believe it. These guys.
Well, that's good, because up next we had Bo Dallas versus R-Truth.
Are you sure it wasn't Mr. NXT? Because Bo Dallas looked oddly familiar.
It's the same person.
Oh, man. See, me and James just couldn't believe it. But yeah.
You literally watched him get unmasked on NXT.
Maybe cloning is a thing. I mean, Tyler Breeze has been looking into it. Never know, Michael.
That's not a thing.
Damn. But, anyway, this was hilarious. I mean, nowhere near compared to Bo Dallas versus Sami Zayn, because I just got so much time and it was so drawn out. But what Bo Dallas is able to do here, I thoroughly enjoyed, because R-Truth did his typical, you know, rapping entrance, and Bo Dallas kind of getting into it. He didn't even dance, like, awkwardly, though. He just kind of danced a little bit, you know, had a smile on his face, like, yeah, it's a good time. And then when R-Truth is like, insert city name here, because I can't remember, what's up? And then they go, what's up? And then Bo Dallas takes the microphone, and then he says the city's name, and he's like, what's going on? And he gets booed, and it's hilarious.
Yeah, to me, what makes Bo Dallas great is his ability to read the crowd and react.
Right, absolutely, yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you've watched it, but I sent you a video of Batista at NXT, and Bo Dallas interrupts him, and at one point the crowd's like, fix your boots! Fix your boots! And he goes, I did this on purpose! It's called style! That's the thing though. Like, that's what Bo Dallas is good at. He's good at reading the crowd and reacting. It's that improv ability. Not a lot of guys have it. Bo apparently does. I never would have thunk it if you would have asked me a year ago, but here we are.
I just think that's what makes such a great heel. I think Bo is going to really skyrocket to the top of that list soon enough. I remember in my Force One days, there was this tag team that came in, And they were awful, like legitimately awful, not even like enjoyable awful, because we would give them all this material as heels and they would never use any of it. They would completely ignore it. They wouldn't try and utilize the atmosphere to their advantage to really capitalize on that heat. Bo Dallas is the complete antithesis of that. Like you said, he reads the crowd and he realizes, hey, I could capitalize on this by doing this. And, like one of my favorites that you told me, when people would chant, boring, boring, and then he's like, you're right, this is Bo's ring, and, cues the smile. That's great stuff. Still love that he's got this undefeated streak going on. I just hope that in due time, we get to see all the stuff that he's done, like on NXT, all of those men really come out on the main roster. Because I feel like we have, but I feel like he's still not necessarily holding back, but not really showing all of those same dimensions, at least for me. Solid match here. R-Truth put up a good fight, being the veteran, I guess, was Bo Dallas' quote-unquote toughest test to date. I will continue to say it. If there is a second Money in the Bank ladder match for the briefcase, I think Bo should get a spot. I do. I would like to see him in there.
I mean, if it's for the briefcase and it doesn't have all these top main event guys in it, yeah, I completely agree. Bo and Rusev both should have a spot.
Yeah, because again, like I know we had one commenter on our last episode say that, he believes that guys shouldn't be in that kind of spot. I think because he believes it would be too soon or mixing up with guys far beyond their level, or I think that was the general argument. I could be wrong. But the thing is, like, a rub's a rub. And we're not looking for Rusev or Bo Dallas to win a briefcase or a championship. We're looking for them to get a nice spotlight of exposure. And certainly Bo Dallas, I would like to see him there. Can you imagine the promos he would cut about being a Money in the Bank participant? I'm going to climb that ladder rung by rung, and I'm going to fulfill my dreams for all of you because we all believe. He could do great stuff. I mean, the ladder is so symbolic of dreams and adversity and all that stuff. It practically writes itself.
I've been climbing the ladder all my life, and now I'm going to do it physically.
Yeah, he would have been at the Bo Dallas toe down. That's great. But yeah, dude, it practically writes itself. But Bo gets a win here. He's 7-0, and it's fantastic.
That's new. I've never heard that before.
JBL said it, so I thought I'd steal it from him. So thanks, JBL.
You're welcome, Michael.
All right, dude. Anything else you want to say about this match or Bo Dallas?
No, I just thought that Bo Dallas trying to do a gangster handshake with R-Truth was hilarious.
Oh yeah, thank you for bringing that up. That was so good.
So up next we had the Raw recap. Paige and Alicia Fox. Nothing really to see here. Then we had Sheamus Cesaro. It was a great great match. Heyman cut a great promo beforehand talking about, and the great thing that they did here was Cesaro was talking in German. And Heyman was translating. And Heyman basically says that Cesaro says that his fists are taped because he's not going to be using any wrestling moves tonight. He's going to be here for a fight. And then he and Sheamus have their match, and the finish of the match, Cesaro wins with a roll-up.
I don't even see why that's a problem. That's a perfectly legal wrestling hold. I mean, I know what everybody might be thinking, but John, you said when Sheamus did it that he should be ashamed of himself. No comment. So, Cesaro gets...
You don't have a witty quip for that? Come on.
No, I'm
it's so hard to think of one.
I really did, but I just decided I'm gonna go the douche route and just be like, so what? What are you gonna do about it? First Amendment for the win. But yeah, no, you know what? I do think what's so interesting about this match, because again, like, I understand your criticisms. I do hope that this is the last match between these two, especially because Cesaro did get his win back. But it was a very physical match.
That's the thing, though, dude. It's not going to be the last match because Cesaro pinned the United States champion, so now he needs to get a title match.
I mean, Money in the Bank just really complicates things, but I don't know. I mean, you would think, right?
He's probably going to get a U.S. title match on Raw.
Yeah, I could see that. I could definitely see that. But it was a very physical match. Loved just the right hands and the uppercuts and everything of Cesaro, like I always do. Sheamus has had his best in this environment. Again, I really enjoy his in-ring product. I have consistently for the last few years. It's just his character that I can't stand. And yeah, Cesaro, the funny thing about this is that he still looks like a heel, simply because Paul Heyman, really rode Sheamus into the ground for using a maneuver. But the thing is, at the end of the day, it is a legal maneuver outside of it all, and he beat Sheamus clean. Not many guys can say that. I think that is a huge victory for Cesaro in my mind.
Yeah. The only
So
shame in it is that he didn't really beat Sheamus, he just caught Sheamus.
yeah, and then you could say the same about Sheamus with Cesaro at Payback. So yeah, I guess we will have just another match, and then hopefully it would be a definitive finish one way or the other.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really enjoyed this.
I hope you're prepared for Cesaro to eat that brogue.
Only if it means he'll gain a championship in the process at Money in the Bank. I don't know, man. That playing field, it's getting
All
thick,
right.
intense now.
All right, so let's go ahead and move on. Up next, we had one of my personal favorite segments of the night. We got a recap of the Summer Rae Layla feud, and then we have a one-on-one match between Fandango and Adam Rose.
AKA guys who should be standing side by side in the same ring, not on opposite sides of it. But yeah, I mean, this match, honestly, not really much to say. It was pretty short and sweet. Fandango got some offense in. Looked like he was going to go for his top rope leg drop, but Adam Rose, he averted that. He ends up hitting the party foul, and he gets the win. And here I'm left as the loser of this contest, because all I'm thinking is if Fandango would turn face and these two would get together, that would be my favorite babyface tag team in WWE, and I'd be clamoring for them to win the championships.
Yeah. So after the match, obviously you said Adam Rose wins, but after the match, Adam Rose and his party go back to the backstage, and one of his people is still kind of hanging around ringside. It's the tall chicken, and the tall chicken gets in the ring and removes its head to reveal, oh, it's Summer Rae! Who would have thunk it?
I was totally shocked.
I know. This was the shock of the century.
But she tackles Layla to the ground. They have catfight-esque offense. Layla is pulling Summer Rae's hair, but Fandango was like, let her go, and then they finally get them apart. Now, the rumor that I've heard, but I've heard that this is scheduled for SummerSlam. I don't know about that. I'm thinking at this point it might come much sooner, but that Layla and Summer Rae will have a match, and Fandango will be the special guest referee. To me, that's the perfect stipulation. That actually makes sense to me. So I do hope we get that match, and I think these two women could put on something good. I mean, they actually have a story going. That's awesome in itself. So I hope that the match backs it up.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's great to see more than one angle going on in the Divas division at the same time. I mean, we have this, we have Alicia Fox's freakouts, and they aren't even champions. The champion is still Paige.
Right.
So it's just awesome that we're finally getting some attention and some effort put into the Divas division. It's nice for once.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Completely agree with you.
Alright, so up next... Oh, and by the way, before we move on, can we just talk about Summer Rae being a babyface?
It's like I told you in conversation when we were watching it together. I can only buy her being a babyface in the context of this feud. Anything outside of that, you're really going to have to try WWE, because she just seems like such a natural heel to me. Doesn't seem to jive.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Typically, when these kind of attacks are illustrated and somebody shows up in street clothes, that's the babyface. And that's exactly what Summer Rae did here. It was like she ripped off the chicken outfit to reveal she was wearing jeans and a tank top. Like, I don't know. I just feel like for some reason or another, despite how negatively she's portrayed on Total Divas, the WWE is trying to get her over as a babyface, and I'm genuinely confused by it.
Right, because, yeah, it is weird. On Total Divas, you and I have taken her side, because we feel like the other women are just so mean to her, to really just castigate her and just cast her out of their little group. And we're like, no, Summer, you keep your head up and you be strong. But on TV, like on the actual wrestling product outside of the Total Divas universe, I mean, yeah, I still enjoy her. I'm still a fan of her by all means, but she is that mean girl type character, that union with Sasha Banks and Charlotte, which who knows how long that's going to last, and the beautifully fierce females, the BFFs, and, that's just who she is. That's just who I should be cheering against when she's facing the likes of Bayley, or in this context, anybody on the main roster who's a babyface. But this turn, again, I don't know where it's going to go. I don't know if WWE plans on keeping it after this storyline wraps up. But if they do, it's going to take a lot for me to personally invest in it.
It's like she's the anti-Triple H.
Yeah, pretty much.
Alright, so now I guess we can move on since we at least got that out of our systems. Jack Swagger versus Big E.
Yeah, interesting matchup indeed. Swagger was very aggressive in this. You know, drove Big E's shoulder into the ring post, drove his knee into the barricade, running him that way, then ran and hit a huge clothesline to him. So this match is actually very physical in its early few minutes, especially on the part of Swagger. Big E started turning the tide. At one point he hits his splash, looks like he's going for the finish, but then we get interrupted by a certain ravishing Russian, Ashton.
Yeah, man, the freaking video game music of the century starts playing, and Lana comes out. We get an amazing angle from behind, and she starts cutting her usual, pro-Putin agenda promo. Try saying that 3 times fast without getting tongue-tied. And Zeb actually starts shooing her off. He's, get out of here, go away, we don't want you here. And then Swagger hits a big boot on Big E and goes for a Swagger bomb, but then Big E rolled out of the way, and he literally caught Swagger in the big ending while Swagger was up for the Swagger bomb. It was actually a really cool finish.
Yeah, I did enjoy that finish, and this is a very interesting wrinkle. I mean, we know what the Real Americans stand for, Zeb and Swagger. So could it be that the presence of Rusev and this whole interaction between Coulter and Lana could, if only temporarily, turn Jack Swagger babyface? Is an interesting question. I mean, in a way it makes sense because, with the whole Real American gimmick, a lot of the people, when Zeb Coulter says, now put your hand over your heart and say along with us, we, the people, the crowd does it with them. I don't know if that was primarily because, Cesaro was a part of the group and that made them really cool, or if people genuinely identified with certain parts of Zeb's message. I personally think
I don't think it's any of the above. I think it's just because people like to feel like they're involved with the show, so they do it with it.
Right. But, in that case, they've been rallying behind anybody that's, straight from Americana, so to speak. So I could see people really getting behind Jack Swagger and Zeb Coulter again, if only temporarily. And I've been saying for a long time, I think Jack Swagger could be viable as a babyface, and I stand by that. So now we're going to hopefully put it to the test.
Absolutely, man. I don't know. I'm definitely curious. I'm not going to sign on to thinking this is a good thing or not yet. But if they do go with it, I'm curious to see just how much heat Rusev can draw going against somebody this fresh off of a heel run.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so up next we had Alicia Fox one-on-one with Oksana.
You know what's funny? It's quite ironic that this was Oksana's last match because I personally enjoyed her work here. I didn't think she was bad. I thought she went out on a high note and, got a nice spine buster in there. Didn't really play around or goof around with all those antics. Seemed to actually be pretty serious in her offense. Even slapped Alicia Fox in the beginning, which I thought was nice. But what was even better about this match, Alicia Fox has a new finisher, and I really dig it.
Yeah, unfortunately, I actually missed the finisher. I was hoping they would show it on replay, but they never did. So, John, I want you to describe it.
Okay, I'm going to describe it the best I can because it'll be a little confusing, but she traps Oksana's arm, right? And then she wraps one of her legs behind Oksana's head, and she drives her head into the ground.
Oh, okay, so it's like a modified Famouser without the jump.
I think so. I think that would be an accurate descriptor. But when you can, Ashton, go back and just watch that particular finish because I do want you to see her finisher.
I should, yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so Alicia Fox, I guess, just kind of does her little freak out at the end. She doesn't do it as much this time. She kind of keeps it contained and in the ring, so it's still, she's still showing the personality, but not, threatening the announcer or anything.
Right, and that makes sense because, this wasn't a match with any kind of big stakes, therefore the freak out itself shouldn't be big. I will say this, you almost have to feel bad for Alicia Fox in my mind because had she done this gimmick way before Paige came along, because Paige is just phenomenal, and I do hope she goes on a tear with that championship, and it certainly looks like that's what they're doing. But had Alicia Fox clicked with this before Paige came along, I think we would have been calling her a 2-time Divas champion, at this point. Maybe her reign would have already been behind her, But it's just been really entertaining stuff. And again, now she's got a new finisher. She just keeps polishing herself. And with each new refinement she makes, I just find myself becoming more and more of a fan of hers. So
she's like the freaking Mark Henry of the Divas division. She's having a late career revival.
exactly, man.
Awesome.
It's nuts.
All right, so now we can get to what we really wanted to talk about, the main event of the evening. The Money in the Bank qualifying match, Bray Wyatt versus Dean Ambrose.
Oh, this was so good. This was what Cesaro and Sheamus on the card, but I have to say this was my match of the night by a mile.
Absolutely. This match was phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, Bray Wyatt had said earlier in the night that, he was destined for great things. That's what Abigail told him. He would go to bed at night, and he'd sleep, and he'd dream of paradise, but he'd wake up and he'd realize he was a part of this horrible world along with the rest of us. And because Dean Ambrose was in his way, he's got to mow him down, because above that ladder where those two championships hang lies Bray Wyatt's absolution. So you know what this means to Bray. You know what this means to Ambrose, because the Shield have dominated, and that one pinnacle is something that they've never claimed. None of them. So, high stakes for both guys. And they go out there, and they kill it. Personally, what I want to remark on, Bray Wyatt's heel psychology to me was brilliant.
And you know what I want to remark on? Dean Ambrose's babyface psychology, which was also freaking brilliant.
Yeah. No, these two...
I mean, how often do you see somebody that is classified in most people's eyes as a prototypical heel draw this much sympathy from a crowd?
No, dude, absolutely. I mean, I have to concede to you. You were absolutely right, because I remember you and I would have discussions, and I would be one of those guys, and I readily admit it. I could never conceive a guy as out there in that lunatic fringe as Dean Ambrose being a successful babyface, being a babyface that could forge an organic connection with the crowd. I always just said top heel, top heel, top heel, and I still do. Absolutely. But he has made this babyface run work, and this match just really exemplifies that fact, because Bray Wyatt at one point, Dean Ambrose tries vaulting over the ropes. Bray Wyatt catches him, and he does that Iranagi slam into the ring apron on the shoulder.
Yep.
And, he really focuses on that shoulder throughout the match. And Dean Ambrose, really, he never forgets about the shoulder. Affects him with every bit of offense. And I feel like, especially at the top babyfaces, like we've often complained that sometimes John Cena, it'll look like he's injured, but then in the last few moments, like, he'll completely forget about it, almost like he ate a sensu bean or something, and completely healed. But with Dean Ambrose, it never leaves his mind, and I really like that.
Yep.
So.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, dude, you described it perfectly.
Yeah, no, I mean, they had a great back and forth, and all the offense that I love from both these guys are in here. Even Bray, had some innovations as well, because he threw Ambrose's shoulder into the ring post at one point, and then he did headbutts to Dean's head while his head was up against the ring post. And then he does, what you would consider a splash in the corner almost, but he does it to Dean's head in the ring post. I'm like, what? So these guys are killing each other. I mean, Dean gets an awesome suicide dive. He has a great DDT. I mean, one that would certainly make Jake Roberts proud. And what I love about this, nobody's at ringside. These two guys going toe-to-toe. They really made Dean Ambrose, with the one bad shoulder especially, look like a beast, because he even hits his finisher, Dirty Deeds, the headlock driver.
Yep, he hits his finisher. And he's obviously selling the pain from the shoulder, so it's taking him a little while to get to the pin. And next thing you know, Seth freaking Rollins shows up standing on the announce table.
And I love this, because normally, guys, you'll hear me complain. Bray Wyatt, he's a tank. He can beat anybody, this and that. Nobody should help him. And yeah, there was interference here. But I think it's brilliant, because for Seth Rollins, it's not about helping Bray Wyatt to me. It's about getting to Dean Ambrose. Bray Wyatt just happened to be at the right place at the right time. And as far as Dean's concerned, I mean, he really plays it up. He sees Seth Rollins and his eyes widen, because it's starting to register to him. The object of my hatred is just only a few feet away from me. And he goes after it, which makes perfect sense, because that was a grand betrayal and a deep one. So he goes after him. Seth Rollins goes in the ring, and Bray Wyatt hits a beautiful looking Sister Abigail with the seamless transition, dude, right into the 3 count. And yeah, Seth Rollins gets one up on Dean Ambrose, and Bray Wyatt qualifies for the Money in the Bank.
Dude, the way that Wyatt transitioned from the Sister Abigail into the pin was almost so smooth that he didn't even realize how smooth it was.
Yeah, really.
Like, he did it, and he lifted Ambrose's leg for the pin, and then he was like, oh, well, this is convenient. I'm in a pin. I'll lean into it. Like, he didn't even realize he was there at first.
Yeah, you know what? And I hope, like, he, kind of stored it in his memory. Like, wait a minute, I could do that. That just makes my finisher 10 times better than it already was, and that's saying something. With that said, I will say this, and I want to say it now because this seems to be the appropriate sphere to discuss it. With all of these events, both with Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose, I think the best course of action, in my opinion, Dean Ambrose faces Seth Rollins at Money in the Bank, and Roman Reigns gets a qualifying spot because he's been calling out Randy Orton, so Randy Orton's in that match. Get Roman Reigns in there as well. Those two can face off. So that's where I think they're heading, and that's where I hope they head, because Dean Ambrose versus Seth Rollins one-on-one, dude, I've had the privilege, thanks to you, of seeing their FCW matches.
I know! It's gonna be so good!
Yeah, that's the thing. Because it's the Shield, you know that they would get 20 minutes, maybe even a bit longer, especially because this is one of the biggest storylines in WWE right now, so you know they'd get time. To me, that's not even a question. That's just imperative. And, yeah, Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins with that kind of time will kill it. Plus, with a great story like this, that could be, if it happens at Money in the Bank, that could steal the show, and I'm not even kidding.
Yeah.
So.
Dude, if that happens, I am so gonna be into this friggin' pay-per-view.
Oh, yeah, dude, I'm telling you. Roman Reigns has been...
I'm gonna be perfectly honest, dude. I'm having trouble getting invested, because I feel like with Daniel Bryan out, it's really taking the wind out of my sails. So, like, if they would do that, that would probably be one really easy and quick way to get me reinvested.
I just think it's hard for a lot of people, and I say this including myself, for the record, because, Seth Rollins does this turn, and I think a big complaint from a lot of people, at least that I've read, is that his reasons seem pretty generic, not very legitimate, especially because they beat Evolution, the guys that Seth Rollins is now aligned with, 2 straight pay-per-views. One of which, at Payback, being the Elimination Tag match, they had a clean sweep. So, Seth Rollins lived a very dominant gig to go for, on the surface, a less dominant thing. So it's all about where they go from here. And Money in the Bank, I think, is going to be the first really big step since the betrayal. And I want these guys to tear the house down. I want them to have the quality of match that they had at FCW, with Seth Rollins coming out on top. Hell, I've said for a while that I want his Blackout, and I'm not calling it Peace of Mind because I just think Blackout fits so much better, to become the new punt, to just where he hits it, and maybe Dean Ambrose is just, like, all out of sorts. I think Seth Rollins could be a killer, and Dean Ambrose is a lunatic, so put those two together, you've got one hell of a match on a pay-per-view. Absolutely.
We both said that at the same time.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, everybody knows it, man.
Yeah, so, yeah, like we've been saying, Rollins costs Ambrose the match, and then he just kind of walks up the ramp laughing all the way to the bank.
Definitely.
Alright, dude, that was the end of Smackdown.
Alright, so with that said, let us get right into high spots and low shots. I'm going to make this real simple. My low shot is Fandango. Not only does he lose his match tonight against Adam Rose, but he still has to deal with 2 squabbling women, one of them being his current girlfriend, one of them being his ex-girlfriend.
You can't even call her his ex-girlfriend.
Well,
watch the episode of Total Divas where they.
Yeah, but clearly WWE wants us to watch Total Divas and yet not watch Total Divas at the same time, because commentary has played it up like these two were together. So don't blame me. I'm just going by what WWE says. Kind of like how when Undertaker and Triple H were feuding, we weren't supposed to remember they had a match at WrestleMania 17. Yeah, history problems. But so yeah, Fandango's my low shot.
Alright, my low shot is going to be Jack Swagger, because not only did he have an advantage because of the the interference allowing him to get a leg up on Big E, not only is he most likely going to be turning face now, which is a bad thing in my opinion, because I don't think anyone's going to be willing to accept him as a babyface, but he lost the match to Big E, who hasn't really won a match in a while, so he was kind of Big E's personal little stepping stone tonight.
Yeah, I mean, and who knows where this could lead for Swagger, but right now it's just as it's looking another bump in the road. So, yeah, good choice. My high spot, really simple. The winner of the inaugural Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, Cesaro.
Really?
Yeah, no, he had a great match with Sheamus tonight. Sheamus, a guy who rarely ever loses clean. Cesaro got the job done, and yeah, he may have caught Sheamus like Sheamus caught Cesaro at Payback, but what do I always say? A win is a win. So yeah, Cesaro's my high spot.
Okay, I think my high spot, you know what? My high spot is going to be the Wyatt family as a whole, because Eric Rowan squashed Jey Uso and Bray qualified for the WWE World Title ladder match.
Yeah, no, it was a great night for the family, and I completely agree. Bray Wyatt qualifying, this is what I wanted to see from his rebirth. Opportunities like this, and just getting to go for the big money, and the Wyatt family potentially fighting for the tag team championships. That's awesome. That's something that you and I have wanted for a long time. I'm hoping it comes through. I'm hoping they win. If the Usos win, that live reactions, that personal portion of live reaction is going to be such a bummer for me, because I'll be deflated the likes of when Roman Reigns is eliminated by Batista at the Royal Rumble. Like, I'm just going to be so done. So here's to hoping they win.
Wow.
Yeah.
What if they win in a way that leaves a hole open where the Wyatts could get a rematch?
Do you really see that as likely, though?
I don't see it as any more or less likely than them winning clean.
I mean, I guess, but with the way that the Usos are, it's either put them down for good or don't put them down at all. It doesn't seem like they really walk that middle ground too often. So, I mean, if they do beat the Wyatt family, I would expect the win to come pretty definitively for my money, which is why I'm hoping it doesn't happen. Because to me, the Wyatt family, they're two monsters. They're two guys that if they won the straps, I could easily believe them holding onto those belts for 8 to 9 months, if not longer, hell. I mean, and whatever babyface would take the titles off the Wyatt family, they'd look like gold because, they friggin' slayed giants. So I hope that's what happens, because the Usos, I don't know, they've just gotten too overbooked for my liking. I like them better, when they were on the chase, and, I'd like to see them back there than as the champions right now.
Yeah, the Usos don't possess that strong babyface champion quality. They need to either be babyface champions or babyface chasers or heels.
Yeah.
All right, dude. Let's high spots, low shots. Let's move on to 30-second hot seat.
Bring it on.
I'm going to actually keep this simple, but because I'm keeping it so simple, I really want you to explain your choice, all right?
Deal.
Okay, so I believe we technically only have 2 spots left in the Money in the Bank ladder match, right?
That is correct.
Who do you think those final 2 people are going to be? That's simple. You don't need to go into detail on those. Just tell me who you think they're going to be. But then what I want you to go into a little bit of detail on is, who do you think is going to win the WWE World Heavyweight Championship and why? All right?
Oh, you bastard. Okay.
You have 30 seconds. Time starts now.
Okay, John Cena and Roman Reigns. And, oh, God. Bray Wyatt's going to do it. It's his rebirth. He wants the power. He wants the control. He wants to build his kingdom by the sea. That's the pinnacle of power. The Authority, hell, they even groomed Randy Orton for the purpose of getting those belts in their camp. Bray Wyatt's going to have his dynasty. John Cena's going to try and stop him. They'll have one more match for the championship. Bray Wyatt comes out on top.
I like that. I really like that.
Yeah, I mean, guys, here's the thing. For as much as I wanted to be Cesaro, make no mistake about 2 things. Well, make that 3. 1, if Bray Wyatt were to win it, the pop would be just as big. I freaking love Bray Wyatt. He is my favorite heel right now. 2, to me it makes sense. If he's reborn on a singles front, he needs to go on a tear. He can lose all the 6-man matches with the Wyatt family that WWE would want him to, even though I'm a little opposed to that idea, as most of you know. But on a one-on-one basis, like we saw tonight, he needs to go on a tear, and it needs to culminate at Money in the Bank, winning the WWE World Heavyweight Championship in 3. You know John Cena would think to himself, oh my goodness, Bray's gotten the ultimate symbol of power. He's gotten the world title. I've got to stop him because now he's got the ultimate vehicle to spread his message, the ultimate platform. They have one final match. I don't know what they do. Still thinking for some reason an I Quit match or something. We haven't seen Nikki Bella in a while, ever since Brie got fired, and maybe that'd be a great way to bring her back television. Bray Wyatt holding her hostage or something during the match, making John Cena say I quit. Bray Wyatt showing that he really is the champion to beat. That's how I'd book it, so here's to hoping it happens.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I mean, to me, that's perfect. That's the perfect way to stall until Daniel Bryan comes back, and when Bryan does come back, who better for him to overcome and take the title from than Bray Wyatt himself?
Well, that's just it, Asher. Like, if we're going to put – because you and I have been talking about what are we going to do with Bray? What are we going to do with Bray? Well, I've been thinking a lot about that, and the answer is so obvious. You've just got to make him the villain. And we've never really had Lex Luthor, so to speak, beat Superman. I was going to go for Batman Joker, but John Cena is nowhere near as cool as Batman. He wishes. But, you know, we have that whole dynamic. If Bray would beat John Cena in a match like that with the championship on the line in his first defense, that automatically makes him look like, holy crap, look at what he's just done. Like, to me, and it may be borderline hyperbolic, but I really don't believe it to be, somebody beating John Cena in a match like an I Quit match is pretty close, at my estimation, to Brock Lesnar beating The Undertaker at WrestleMania.
I would agree with that, actually. I mean, it's not nearly as iconic, but the rub that you get from it is absolutely similar.
That's what I'm going for, Ash. And the iconic element is certainly lacking, for sure. I'm not even going to debate that. But the implications of it, I think, are just as heavy, and the rub just as great. And if they give it to Bray, he won't squander it. That, to him, is the ultimate victory. Getting the last hero, at least that's what commentary would want you to believe in the fans' mind, to fall. And then nobody is there to impede his reign. But then
cue Flight of the Valkyries and Bryan comes out and everyone freaks their freaking lead.
And then that's still great because, you know, Bryan still needs to get that win back because Bray beat him decisively at Rumble, so you know Bray is capable of beating this hero as well. So you still got your heart stuck in your throat a little bit because you think, oh, you know, Bryan may be our best chance, but even we know that he's beatable. You know, you have all that, and you have a lot of great mileage for the summer. Unless you want to, you know, throw Brock Lesnar and Cesaro in there later, or all these other things. I don't know what they want to do, but that already is a great vehicle for the summer. Where you want to go from there is anybody's guess. But yeah, Bray Wyatt could completely, with no problem whatsoever, hold down the fort while Daniel Bryan's resting. You know, I've been hearing people saying that they feel like the product is suffering. To me, when you look at the talent pool, I'm just as excited as ever. I want Daniel Bryan back for sure. I mean, I miss him. I want to see him compete. It sucks that he's here. But we've got a great villain in Bray Wyatt that I think is this close to tasting immortality, and I hope he does it.
And they can really build it up. Like, the only reason Bray ever had the opportunity to rise to power is because Bryan got hurt and he wasn't there to protect us from him.
Exactly. And Bray could even use that in promos. He'd be like, you come to me now and you want to defy my reign, but where were you when I was on the rise? You had fallen under my boot, and you had went home because your mortal bones couldn't handle the pressure. Again, playing up that Bray Wyatt, he's beyond flesh. He's beyond human considerations, and that's what makes him so superior to everyone else. I think it's his time, dude. If Bray Wyatt, I'll put it like this. I fully expect Cena to be in the match. I even said in my 30-second hot seat. But to me, Cena isn't the favorite in this. Bray Wyatt is. And if Bray Wyatt doesn't win, I will be shocked.
And the beautiful thing is, we only found out that Bray was going to be in the match tonight. So this is super relevant to SmackDown as well.
Exactly.
Oh, so good. All right, dude. I am so happy we had this discussion, but guess what? This is the end.
Absolutely. Hey, come June 29th, that sentiment may be expressed in more ways than one.
That's why I think that way.
But until then, guys, This has been Smackdown. This has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary, Ashton. And we will see you again for our Monday Night Raw review, where I really believe they will wrap up the Money in the Bank qualifying matches. Take care, guys.